It was supposed to be the grandest wedding of the year. Every business magazine had already printed his name in gold. Ethan Gray, the 32-year-old billionaire CEO of Gray Tech Industries, was about to marry the daughter of an influential politician. But there was one problem: he didn't choose her. Ethan had always lived by logic, not emotion. To him, love was a distraction, and marriage was a transaction. His board insisted he needed to stabilize his image. Too many headlines had painted him as a ruthless, cold businessman. So, when his father arranged the match, Ethan agreed. The bride's face, he hadn't even bothered to look. Until the wedding day, when the doors of the cathedral opened, whispers swept through the crowd. The bride entered, her face completely covered by a heavy lace veil. Rumors had spread that she was plain, maybe even ugly, and that her family had forced the marriage for status. Ethan clenched his jaw. He hated being manipulated, and the idea that he was being tricked made his blood boil. He leaned toward his assistant and muttered, "If this is a joke, I'll end the contract tomorrow." The ceremony began. Ethan stood expressionless as vows were exchanged. But deep down, something pricked at him, a soft tremble in her voice when she said, "I do." It wasn't arrogance or greed he heard, it was pain. When it was time to lift the veil, he did it sharply, ready to confront the woman who dared to deceive him. But the moment the lace lifted, the entire world seemed to stop. Underneath was not an ugly bride, but the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her skin glowed softly under the light, her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and there was something pure, something heartbreakingly real, in the way she looked at him. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't playing a role. She was terrified. Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan whispered before he could stop himself. She smiled faintly. Would it have made a difference? Her name was Alara Hayes. A quiet, gentle woman raised away from the limelight. Her father had pushed her into the marriage to strengthen his political ties, but Alara had one secret: she wasn't the original bride. Her older sister, the glamorous socialite everyone admired, had run away a week before the wedding. And to protect the family's name, her father forced Alara to take her place. She had tried to refuse, but her mother's tears broke her heart. So she agreed, knowing she'd be marrying a man who didn't love her. Ethan found out days later. He was furious, not just at her father, but at her. He accused her of being part of the trick. "You think I'm some fool who'd fall for this?" he shouted one night, his voice echoing across their cold mansion. Alara didn't defend herself. She simply looked at him and said quietly, "You don't have to believe me. I'll leave if that's what you want." Her calmness disarmed him. No anger, no pleading, no manipulation, just quiet dignity. And somehow, that made him angrier, because deep down, he didn't want her to go. Days turned into weeks. Ethan kept his distance, burying himself in work. But everywhere he turned, Alara's small touches softened the edges of his life. She'd leave breakfast ready even when he didn't eat. She nursed his mother through illness without complaint. She even rescued a stray dog and built it a home in their backyard. One evening, he found her sitting on the porch, the sunset painting her face in gold. The dog rested its head on her lap. For the first time, Ethan noticed how tired she looked, how much she was holding in. "Why do you keep doing all this?" he asked quietly. She turned to him, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and strength. "Because I gave a vow, Ethan. Not just to your name, but to your soul. Even if you don't see it yet." Those words struck something deep inside him, something he didn't want to feel. One stormy night, Ethan received a call. Alara's car had crashed on the highway. She had been delivering medical supplies to a local orphanage. By the time he reached the hospital, she was unconscious. Her hand lay cold in his as the machines beeped softly beside her. In that sterile room, surrounded by silence, Ethan realized the truth he'd been too proud to face. She hadn't tricked him. He had tricked himself into believing that love could never be pure, that kindness was weakness. He had spent his life protecting his heart from lies, only to destroy the one person who had been honest from the start. He stayed by her side every night for a week, refusing to leave. And when she finally opened her eyes, tears blurred his vision. "Alara," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Please, don't ever leave me again." She smiled faintly. "So, you finally lifted the veil from your heart." Ethan laughed softly through the tears. "Yeah, I think I did." Months later, the mansion was no longer cold. The same halls that once echoed with silence now rang with laughter. Ethan and Alara rebuilt everything, not for appearances, but for love. He stepped down from several of his corporate duties to launch the Gray Foundation, helping orphans and victims of arranged marriage abuse. Alara became the heart of it all, gentle, compassionate, and stronger than ever. During an interview, a journalist asked Ethan, "What made you change so much, Mr. Gray?" He smiled, glancing at Alara across the room. "Because I once thought I was tricked into marrying someone I didn't want. Turns out, she was the one thing I needed to truly see."